Right now, before we go much further, Benga, maybe you can usher in our team who is on ground in Osun State, as we'll be taking them live for some questions and answers about what is going on and what the atmosphere is like there this morning.
Indeed, Yolanda, the race for power is on, but let's touch base with live from Osogbo, where Vimbai Mutinere Ekpenyo is standing by to give us a blow-by-blow account of what the mood is like in Osogbo, the capital of Osun State. Nice to see you, Vimbai Mutinere Ekpenyo, from Osun State. What's the mood like now? Because in the next 24 hours, the people of Osun State will be trooping out en masse to exercise their franchise in the election of the next governor of the state. So tell us about the mood like and the race for power in the state's capital.
It's the term blow for blow, blow for blow. Thank goodness so far, no around. Everywhere seems is a very heavy police presence.
No sound on this end. Vimbai, if you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, we've got you back. We've got you back. Please start again if you may.
Perfect. Sure. I was just saying that, Wenger had said, the blow by blow. And I'm saying, thank goodness, so far there hasn't been much of the blows on the ground. There's a heavy police presence. As we drove into the state, we drove behind a number of cars that were bringing in police. We've got the update that there'll be at least 30 units of mobile police across the 30 local government areas. And just for context, the unit has about 60 men. So you can imagine the presence. But this is also coming amongst, on the backdrop of the fact that at the beginning of the week, there had been reports that there were about 73 there was 73 election-related violence incidents, and that has now gone up to 80. That's just in the period of this week, and that excludes the incident last night where it is sadly being reported that the nephew of the APC DG campaign council was killed. So there's a general sense of calm. The city is just waking up. It's 24 hours to the election, so of course all campaigning, electioneering, politicking has come to an end. So we continue to wait to see how this next 24 hours will play out, and hopefully things will remain calm.
Well, INEC has promised that officials will be at all 3,763 polling units and that voting should be able to start on time. I know it's still early hours, but from what you're seeing right now, does INEC look like they've got their things together this morning?
You know what, Yolanda, God bless you for that question, because we're actually standing just outside the CBN here in Osogbo. Unfortunately, we were denied access, but the reason we were trying to get access is so we could show Nigeria that the sensitive materials that were being distributed here late last night have all left. So they're all headed to the local governments and to the registration centers. And, only God knows really what happens between CBN and the actual polling unit. However, what we can confirm is despite not being granted permission to film at CBN, which is just to my left-hand side, I can confirm that we peeped inside. We saw that all the materials are gone. By about 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. in the middle of the night, the last batch had left to go out into the field. So now, my guess is as good as yours as to whether that will translate to timely logistics to actually start voting on time, because we know that this is one of the perennial problems that challenges INEC, which is getting an election started on time. And this is outside of this very peculiar situation where you have a party being added onto the ballot paper at the last minute, causing all these logistical nightmares. So we continue to wait and see, but for now there are no red flags, no obvious red flags. We'll continue to follow the story all the way to the polling units around the state. It is a big state, and the logistics here are quite challenging. But given the fact that it's an off-cycle election and an overwhelming amount of logistics have been deployed to this one state, the stakes are also very high. This is INEC's sort of last stress test and pressure test before the general election. And I think they want to put their best foot forward. So we wait and see, but there's a conversation to be had about the over-judicialization of our elections and the very imminent disenfranchisement they can cause if it means court judgments are coming. INEC can't sort of respond to those court judgments on time, and then you're having this last minute sort of scattered runaround to try and ensure that the materials get to the ground. But people seem okay with it for now. People seem none the wiser that this is what's going on behind the scenes. So I hope it won't affect voter turnout, and it shouldn't. Everybody should come out and vote tomorrow.
What about these claims that have been going around that voters have been receiving 10,000 naira from political canvassers before the election? Are you seeing any evidence of this vote buying since you've been on ground?
So a number of people will tell you very casually that, yes, they've been offered money. These, of course, are all allegations because we don't have the solid evidence to prove it. We're going to go around today as well and try to get a general sense because some people are saying they were given 15,000 last week and that has been topped up with another 10,000 in the past 24 hours. Now, we don't know whether this is from different parties or from the same party. So it seems to be a general problem. So we're going to continue to keep our eyes on that. I saw some reports about people who were sharing salt to try and convince voters. So it really is. You can tell the stakes are high. And unfortunately, vote buying and vote trading is very real. It's very palatable here. And Yolanda, by the end of today, we hope to have more solid statistics about the last 24 hours to the election and how much money was able to trade hands. Because campaign financing is no longer about what political parties are spending on billboards and jingles and adverts. This is now a very big part of what they're calling mobilization, which is ensuring that voters get cash in their hands to convince them to vote.
We understand that this election will be taking place across 30 local governments, around 3,763 polling units. So tell us, what's the mood like? People eager to come out to vote because of the reports coming on the pre-election analysis on the dashboard about 73 pre-election violence and 29 politically motivated deaths happening in the build-up towards the Osun governorship race?
I think just based on even the collection rate of PVCs, which was sitting at 81.5% according to the reports from INEC yesterday, and that's pretty low because in Ekiti we had over 90%. So that is already an indication that apathy is likely to be on the higher side for this election, and several contributing factors. Beyond the issues of insecurity, beyond the issues of vote buying. And when I say insecurity, I'm talking about election-related violence itself and the issues around vote buying. The question is, do people have confidence in the system? There were reports of PVCs being stolen, and of course we were assured that even though those PVCs were stolen, they can't be used. Illegitimately. Some people have been able to download their PVCs, and this will be the first time we'll be seeing how the downloadable PVCs work in practice beyond in theory. So there's a lot of uncertainty around that, a lot of uncertainty around the Form EC8A as well, and sort of how the results management process will take place. So based off of that, with the lack of information generally around, I hope that people will still be convinced that they should come out, troop out to vote, and that their votes will still count. But the mood generally apprehensive, concern. Will our vote count? And with the police presence, as much as it's a safeguard, it's also a cause for concern. Once an election becomes too heavily militarized and there's too much of a police presence, that also scares people away. The weather is a little bit chilly and is a little bit rainy. I don't know how it will be tomorrow, but this is the type of weather that may also inspire people to stay at home. So we wait to see how all of these factors will come together.
Okay, Vimbai, so I have one question concerning all these governorship candidates. You know, ever since Arise News held that Osun town hall meeting, we saw various contenders. But I think at this point in time, it really boils down to the three main guys, and that's Adeleke, Oyebamiji, and Najeem Salaam. Now, from what you're seeing and from your observations since you've arrived in Osun State, which of these camps is showing to be the stronger competitor of them all?
Ooh, Yolanda, you're asking me to go into my crystal ball, but I need to be careful in how I answer this question, since we have gone into the embargo on sort of political conversations regarding the election. However, as you drive into the state, you know, there was a lot of conversation around the incumbents' maimed billboards, but you find that it wasn't just the incumbents. There were also some APC billboards that had been maimed and torn down and so forth. So what I can say is that this is a very competitive election. It is almost impossible to predict what will happen. You will recall that in the presidential election, I know they say presidential election and governorship elections sort of are governed by different rules, but this was an a PDP state, as in Atiku won this state in the presidential election. So the question is, will Atiku still have that level of influence with a governor who has moved over to a Accord party? For APC, the stakes are high. The general consensus is that Oyo State in 2027 is likely to go to Sheyi Makinde, as he has put his hat into the ring as a presidential contender. Now, the stakes are high for the APC to ensure that they are able to secure the Southwest as the president's geopolitical zone. So it's critical, extremely critical. And then, of course, there was a joke that was cracked yesterday saying that, well, this is the president's original state of origin. So, you know, the stakes are very, very high in that aspect. And then, of course, we've spoken about the Omoluabi progressives, Rauf Aregbesola, and the impact that he has had on Osun State elections, and whether that will translate into is another massive factor that needs to be considered. The candidate of the APM yesterday folded in line in favor of the incumbent governor, Adeleke. So that's one sort of out of the race. But again, many would argue and say, how consequential is it? So we continue to wait and see, but it looks like those three contenders remain the leading horses. And we're also still looking out for the fact that it's highly likely that there may be a runoff. Many people feel this election will not be concluded on the first round because, again, the winning candidate must get 25% of votes in 20 local government areas. And the way things are looking now, it doesn't look clear that any one candidate will be able to pass that mark in the first round.
Okay, let's quickly do a checklist because in the next few moments we'll be having the INEC commissioner the INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of the Voter Education and Information Committee from INEC join us live in the studio here. But now let's look at the concerns about some of the reported technical failures of the beavers, management of ballot papers, and also risk management and the need for an intelligence-driven security framework to guard the sanctity of the ballot. How would you rate INEC's checklist in this regard?
Well, you know, Benga, I think that's one of those questions that we'll be able to answer tomorrow morning, because it's almost like the refineries, right? It's always, they're going to work, we're going to make sure they work, but on the actual day, does it work? So we're waiting with bated breath. You know, they've done their mock accreditation exercise, which had a number of glitches. And they're saying that, well, that's why we did mock accreditation, so that we know where things could possibly go wrong and rectify that. There's reports that there will be a number of backup BVAS machines as well to ensure that if there's any failure on a BVAS, it doesn't disenfranchise and they can quickly revert to a backup machine. Again, we started this conversation talking about the delivery of ballot papers. We wait to see whether those ballot papers will arrive on time. Now,
Young, Rise senior anchor and correspondent live from Osogbo. Thank you very much, Vimbai. Please do stay safe as you cover and give us minute by minute. I don't want to say blow by blow again, so that I don't run foul of inflammatory or inciting comments. Okay, thank you very much, Mimbai.